Yep. Okay. What was the question again? My name's Kodah, or Envy Tattoos online. I work at Concealed Empire Tattoo Lounge in Upper Coomera, and I've been tattooing for 7 years now. Yeah. So I do like fine line, geometric, dot work, stipple, everything like that. All the dainty stuff, or like bigger pieces that are just very like intricate. I used to do neo-traditional tattoos, which were the total opposite. But I think I found my place doing fine line stuff. Everyone seems to really love it. I love doing it. I love getting to do a million tiny pieces or spending tons of time doing all these detailed things in these bigger pieces. So, yeah. Before I was tattooing, I was waitressing, doing like bars, things like that. I have a ridiculous amount of certificates to say I know what sort of wine to pair with what sort of food. And before that, I was in uni for a Bachelor's of Accountancy. Yeah, so I know how to not do my taxes. 2. They're both on my hands. So I've got this one. It's meant to be a Gemini symbol, but doesn't match the others. So I've been getting it lasered. Also, I'm like super not into astrology. And then this one, it was meant to be just lines. Instead, it's dotted. The artist just kind of went rogue and dotted it. So it's just not what I wanted. Even though it looks nice, it's just not what I wanted. What can I say? Yeah, we used to get up to a lot of stuff because I was with like old school tattooists that weren't so with the times. So we used to do some crazy shit. We got into a lot of trouble for sticker slapping all of Southport. The cops came around and everything to tell us that we weren't allowed to do it. And we were just like, don't know who did that. There was a guy who decided to take some drugs during his appointment. And he was like a lovely guy, he had been in before. So maybe like hour, 2 hours in, he goes to the bathroom, takes a bit too long in the bathroom. We're like, okay. Maybe he's feeling sick or something. He comes out, he's clearly off his rocker. And then he sits down and the artist is like trying to tattoo his forearm. And he starts trying to like grab the tattooist's hand while he's tattooing. The artist is like, dude, you have to fucking stop. Like, this is ridiculous. And he started like wigging out and he's not doing okay. He's got his missus. He said it's his missus with him. Turns out she barely knew the guy. She was just there for the ride. But he ended up like losing it. He started like convulsing in the chair. Came to, the artist was like, we've got to stop now. He then vomited and then pissed himself in the tattoo chair. Yeah, we were absolutely disgusted. Like, everyone there was like, what the fuck is happening? And then he started getting really aggressive. So we had to literally pick this guy up and throw him out of the shop. Yeah. I've still got the video of it on my phone. Because I am like second generation, I have, I guess, been in the industry almost all of my life compared to just kind of getting into it as an adult. So I've kind of been in that industry since like the early ooze, because I'm not too old. So yeah, early ooze. Things weren't as crazy as they were like back in the, like before then, like the 90s and stuff. Licensing sort of came in around, I think around 2010, somewhere around there. Like all the licensing laws came in, anti-bikie laws, stuff like that. Prior to then, it was very bikie affiliated for sure. So old school tattooists were a lot more hardcore than they are now. They were able to say and do pretty much whatever they wanted. But yeah, they were rambunctious, they were crazy, they could do whatever. If you did something that a tattoo shop didn't like as another tattoo shop, then that shop wouldn't hesitate to let you know. yeah, there was like rules that tattoo shops kind of lived by, abided by. You couldn't go opening up a tattoo shop next to another tattoo shop because you wouldn't have your tattoo shop anymore. So things like that were definitely, I mean, now they do whatever, you know, there's tattoo shops next to tattoo shops, next to tattoo shops, next to tattoo shops. And they're fine. They're fine. They don't get burnt down. They don't get TP'd, nothing.
What's TP?
TP'd? Oh, you know when you like get toilet paper and you throw it all over someone's?
I thought it was going to be something a bit more hardcore, but...
So yeah, that was definitely a thing. Getting firebombed in a shop was definitely, you knew you were doing something you shouldn't be. Yes, baby.
Could I also use your text to...
No, but you can go draw with the pencils. There's more colouring pencils. So yeah, as far as apprenticeships these days go, it's a lot easier, I think, to get into a shop because there is so many shops now. You're kind of spoilt for choice where you can go. There's tattoo schools that you can do if you feel like doing those. Not that I would recommend it. But yeah, there's a lot of avenues that you can take. There's a lot more women getting into it now because you can't say, like old school tattooists used to think that the women couldn't handle being in tattoo shops, so you really had to fight and prove that you were cool enough to be with the guys in a tattoo shop and that you weren't gonna, you know, cry about the things that they said or did, or go and run to the cops and tell the cops what was happening, or, you know, bitch about it. You know, there was a lot of things that you didn't talk about in tattoo shops that happened, so girls were kind of seen as these gossipy girls that, you know, shouldn't be in a tattoo shop, and it was very like men and for men and those sorts of things. Whereas now it's a lot easier, I think. A lot more girls do get into shops. There's a lot of talented girls, a lot of girls that are very capable artists to do it. As far as what I wish new apprenticeships had that the old school ones did, I did a very like old school apprenticeship where there was a lot of things that apprentices these days don't have to do, aren't taught to do, things like that. Some of those things were like, I know how to build a tattoo machine out of an electric toothbrush in case I need to tattoo in prison. But that's like things that you would learn back then. And it for as much as that was kind of the reasons that you were given, it was quite often like you were able to fix your own stuff. You didn't have to send it off, and you couldn't make money for months while it sit in Germany for, you know, the manufacturers to fix things. If you heard your machine not running right, you knew instantly like what it was, what you had to do. You could go in there, you could fix it. It's not earthing properly, something's too soft, something's not on properly, all those sorts of things. So yeah, it was definitely, you were taught, you knew the machine like it was the back of your hand. Whereas artists these days in their apprenticeship, they don't have that. Things are very much like a sealed unit now where you're not meant to get into them as well. And you're told it'll void your warranty and all these sorts of things, so they're very hesitant. They don't go doing like maintenance, they don't go adjusting things to their own personal likings. It's as it is, and if something breaks, they've got no clue, and they're out of work because of it, or having to spend thousands on a new machine, which sucks. I wish artists knew more about their machines, diagnosing things, fixing things, troubleshooting, all of that. When I apprenticed, it was a rule that you had to tattoo yourself before you could tattoo anyone else. And I think that was a really, really great rule. It definitely meant that I spent longer practicing before I went jumping onto, you know, tattooing all my friends and making all these absolutely horrible tattoos, because I was terrified of putting anything that I would hate on my body forever. And that made me really, really think about it and go, okay, I need to be at a certain level before I can go tattooing myself. And that definitely stopped me putting out shit work early on. Yeah, my first one on myself's that 31, and I was shitting it. I was sat there, I've like got my knee there, I've got like everything, it's all like set up so I can reach it. I've like really thought about it. I was so stressed about it. And then I'm like, okay, cool. Like it was the only kind of small tattoo that I could think of that I wanted as well, because everything else was huge. And I was like, I can't do a huge one in case I do fuck this up. So I was like, I'll do the small one. It's fixable, it's coverable. If I freaking hate it, it'll be fine. And then I just got so nervous about it. And opposite me is this old school as fuck, like ex-bikey, who was like massive, like probably like 150 kilos, just huge bloke, big beard, like the stereotype, right? And he's like, you can do it. And I'm like, I can do it. And he's like, you can do it. And really like amped me up to do this piece. And I'm like, tears. I'm like, oh my God. And he's like, you can do it. And then so he's come over as I've started tattooing it, and he's seen the 31. But because he's old school, he's like, this should be a 13. So he's like, oh, and it's upside down to me. So it says 31 for everyone else. And he's like, oh, it shouldn't that be a 13? I was like, no, it's right. And he's like, no, that should be a 13. I'm like, no, it's 31. And he's like, but it should be a 13. And I'm like, no. And he's like, it should be a 13. And he started freaking out. And then I had to explain to him that it's like an Offspring song reference. So yeah. So from what I understand, licensing is very different. So you don't need a tattooist license to be doing brow tattoos and things like that. So I think that factors into it, because that's a whole chunk of money that you don't need to be paying. So a lot of them will be like, oh yeah, we're cosmetic tattooists, but we just happen to do these tiny little tattoos as well, but it's cosmetic. It's illegal, obviously. That's not why the licensing was set up that way. So that sucks. It sucks for everyone that's doing it the right way. But it's also, they don't have any sort of apprenticeship when they're doing things like that. Those tattooists have not been tattooing under someone with experience doing proper tattoos. It's one thing to go in and do a course on cosmetic brows where you're just doing some lines on eyebrows, and then you do that on an old lady and a young chick, and you've done it all. And they quite often are like quite short courses. 10 days or like a month or two, and you're fully qualified to do these cosmetic tattoos. And then they think, oh, okay, I can do these lines that are quite small on these eyebrows, so I can do it on skin now, and I can do all these little things, and it's just copying, it's just tracing. So many people come in to get them covered up if they last. If they last and they actually are on the skin after a month still, they're getting them covered because they look like trash, because these people can't tattoo. It's very, very different. It's, I can look at someone build a house and think, oh, it's just a couple bits of wood screwed together. It's right, I can do that. It's so much more than that. Every type of skin's different, every age, every place on the body. There is so many variables, and these people have not been under someone to know how to tattoo these different areas or different skin types. They quite often don't see these tattoos again. They're not in a shop where the shop has responsibility as well. They're quite often out on their own, where people don't want to come back to them to complain because they're just going to get the same person again. Whereas when you're in a shop, they can come, they can complain to the owner, and then the owner's going to be like, fucking fix it. They don't have that, so they've got no real accountability. They don't even know half the time when their work is turning to shit, or they don't care, or they have no idea how to not make it look like shit. They just don't have any of that training. So it's really, really shocking that it's happening in the industry. Yeah, for everyone else, it's very, very cringe. So. I feel like Abby wouldn't be just one animal.
She's just an animal.
That's great, baby. What are some cool animals, Coraline? Oh, Abby would be a spider. Not like in a bad way, but in a real cool way. Like people are scared of her, but she's actually pretty nice. Yeah, she'd be like a redback or something. Like definitely should be scared of her, but like as long as you don't fuck with her, it's okay. Katie is like a golden retriever. She's like so sweet and so like bouncy and happy all the time, and like she comes in and she just brightens up a room immediately. Like she's just lovely. Like you'd absolutely like spend time with a golden retriever. So you don't.
She's gonna be devastated that it wasn't something a bit more fucking vicious. She looks at herself as a fucking snow leopard, so golden retriever, she's gonna feel like she's played down hard.
Oh, she is though. She's gorgeous. She's always happy and sunny and just like, yeah. I got peer pressured into it by my dad. The whole time I was a kid, I was like, fuck this, hell no, this shit's hectic as. I had terrible anxiety when I was a teenager, so I was like, there was no chance on this planet that I will ever put my art on someone permanently because I will just never ever be that good. And what if they hate it, and what if and what if and what if, and all these like worries that you have when you do have anxiety. So I just put it out of there, and then like I said, like dropped out of uni, hated accountancy, never wanted to do that again in my life, and then broke my hand, so I couldn't do that. I was in this bad DV relationship. I left him and I was like, I could have died during that relationship. So anything I do now is going to be better than that. Any day something could happen to me and I could just cease to exist. So what's the point of just always stressing about all these things that probably don't even exist? It's all just in my head. And my dad was like, you should tattoo. And I was like, ah. And my dad was like, you know, what are you so scared of? And I was like, what if I fuck up? And he was like, just don't fuck up. So I've been living by that since. I'm like, just don't fuck up and you're sweet. So yeah, everything I do now, I'm just very much like, you know, I could not be here. I could just cease to exist the very next day. So spend every day doing what I want to do and not being scared of anything. I think a lot of people, maybe I'm a bit different because I'm not a super maternal person. Like I absolutely love my kids to bits. I could not imagine spending days upon days upon days just in the house with my kids though. That would drive me up the wall. Whereas some people, that's their dream. Yeah. But yeah, so I'm like, yeah, no, I couldn't do that. Working's like a bit of an escape. It's my like home to me almost. So I love being in here. I love going home and spending time with my kids. I love working in here so that I've got money to do awesome things with my kids and set them up really well in their lives. And you know, the time that I get to spend with them is quality time and able to do things rather than just sit at home all the time with them because we don't have this money. When I was younger and I was a single mum just with one kid, I think a lot of people judged me that I was working the hours I was working. I would work late, things like that. And people would be like, oh, your kid misses you. Your kid eats at like 6:30 at night instead of 5 o'clock, things like that. But she's perfectly fine. She's normal. She's happy. She knew no different. It was her normal. So yeah, I think you get a lot of external opinions when you're a tattooist and a mum for the lifestyle of being a tattooist. But as long as you make it work for you and you don't stress about everyone else, it kind of balances itself out quite nice. I wouldn't want my kids constantly in here because I think that might influence them to just follow me when there's so many other things that they could do. I never want them to feel like they have to be in this industry because I am. You know, if they want to be doctors, lawyers, they can do that. If they want to, you know, just be a checkout chick, they can do that. I'm going to be happy with them no matter what they do. Yeah, but I think it's good, them being a bit exposed to it as well. Yeah, and things aren't as rough now as they used to be either. You know, a kid's in a shop and everyone kind of doesn't say the things that they would usually and stuff. They're very aware, and I think being in a shop full of women as well, a lot of them are mothers, or, you know, everyone has a mum, everyone, you know, has that person. And as women, like, we kind of see kids and we're got a bit of maternal instinct to look after them, and yeah. I love making other styles work with doing fine lines. So if I see something in another style and I'm like, I absolutely freaking love that, I will then incorporate it into my own. And I love working with people on their own little stories. I love when someone can tell me a story about a piece and I can be like, oh my God, let's incorporate this and that and da-da-da, and make things that really work with their life or their story. So I think my clients are a lot of my inspiration a lot of the time. So I have like my cancellation policy in place, so I can charge someone's card when they no-show. I don't get deposits up front. I just kind of run on like an honesty system. Generally, I'm not a dick. You know, if your dad genuinely dies, then okay, cool. Like go to the funeral. Like I'm not gonna be like, okay, well you still have to pay me all this money. I'm pretty nice about things. But I had this girl book in for 2 full days, back to back. She had all these like really random out there requests for the pieces, very like specific things. So I drew up all these pieces, and then day of she no-shows, and I was like, it's super weird. Like she'd been so keen about this, even last night she was still keen. So I was like, maybe she's gone out and she's gotten drunk, she's hungover and she's going to show up later, or she's lost a phone, you know, what's kind of happened. So I thought, okay, I'll go onto her Instagram story and maybe I can kind of figure out what's happened. So she was out drinking, all of these things, and then that day she was in another tattoo shop and getting these pieces done on her arm. And I was like, oh, so that's why you had been asking me to see all these designs prior, was so that you could take these to this other tattoo shop. So she ended up getting these pieces that she didn't even want. They were just whatever they had. So I was kind of like, suck shit. But yeah, I sent her a message and was like, hey, like, just so you know, like, cancellation policy because you've no-showed. And she came back saying that she had this huge family emergency, so she had to fly out early. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. Well, you're still getting my cancellation policy. I didn't like try and tell her that she was a liar or anything. So I charged it and she dipped about it. So I sent her the screenshots of her getting these tattoos done when she said that she had to fly home, because obviously she didn't realize that I could see her Instagram stories. And then she said nothing. So yeah, the gall of some people. This other tattoo shop has, like, you can't just get in with them. It wasn't a spur of the moment thing. She would have had to book months in advance to go into the shop because they're super exclusive. And I was like, wow, so you had no intentions of showing up for your appointment. You just wanted my designs. Yeah, bitch. Yeah. Only time that I was happy to take like a cancellation policy, I was like, fuck you. I think something that surprises people is, of my own body, I've got a no negativity policy. So I won't tattoo anything on myself that's negative. So yeah, lots of people get like self-depreciating kind of tattoos, or I won't do them for as much as I have like a really dark sense of humor. I don't want anything on me that's ever negative. Yes, I won't get anything like fuck this person or anything like that. Like I'd never do that on myself. If that's what you like on you, then that's cool. But yeah, on myself, I'm a very like positive person. I never want a negative reminder on me forever, because probably won't have that same mindset in a few years' time. So I'll be at the Brisbane Tattoo Expo. I'll be there doing flash, doing walk-in pieces. So that's super exciting. Hoping to meet like a ton of new people. And I'll be doing a wedding next week. It's a surprise for the bride and groom. So I was contacted by the mother-in-law of the groom. And yeah, so I get to do that. I get to go to a wedding and tattoo a whole ton of people. It's going to be the groom's first tattoo. So yeah, it's going to be really, really fun. Yeah, so my bookings run a little bit differently to I think a lot of other tattooists. I run my bookings through my social media, so you DM me, you tell me whatever it is you're wanting. I do mine on hourly, so price depends on how long a piece will take me. And then I pretty much let you know how many hours it's going to be, what that price is going to be. And then I put it into my booking app, which will send out a text message to a phone number or an email address. And then the client gets to confirm it on their end. They put in their card details, which is like a security deposit, the same as you would for like a hotel booking, things like that. And then up until 72 hours before, they can cancel. There's no stress about it. Things can happen, plans change, finances, everything like that. So I also don't draw up prior to that 72 hours unless you're paying me to do that drawing early, so that I'm not wasting my time doing a drawing that you may not make it in for. So yeah, I do my drawings in that 72 hours prior to an appointment, and then on the day you pay it like you pay in full, preferably cash, because cash is king. But if you're not able to make it, then you'll get charged your cancellation or your no-show policy fee. So yeah.
Thank you.
Put on your list to ask Brie what her favourite food is, because she's very passionate about her favourite food.
Brie? Really?
She's very into like ramen.
Right, yeah.
Ramen, hot pots, all of that. She's like so fucking into it. My answer for favourite food would just be fucking chocolate, so. I think Concealed would be one of my favourite shops I've ever worked at, to be honest. It's a super, super good vibe, super cool atmosphere. It's just the right mix of new school and old school, where everyone's aware of what it was, but also, and what was good about it, but also that mix of like new school and everyone's super nice and chill. And I don't have the body for OnlyFans, please let me keep tattooing.